Hey everybody, Manny Talaver here. We're now on day 63. And in day 63 of the seven-figure climb, we're going to talk about Undercover Billionaire. Now, for the most part, I want to talk about the Grant Cardone Undercover Billionaire, but within reason, we could lump them all together or we could talk about some of the other ones. The first one, I think the guy's last name was Stearns, was interesting, and we could talk about that one as well. I think for the most part, for me, the one they did with Stearns seemed almost more contrived than the Grant Cardone. But I'm going to walk you through some of my takes on this and tell you my opinions on it. First of all, this is entertainment TV. I don't think this is reality at all. As a matter of fact, I don't think it even remotely resembles reality. And I'm gonna give you a number of reasons why. But first of all, you need to understand the premise for Undercover Billionaire. Undercover Billionaire is basically the show that is saying that the American dream is still alive and that we can take someone and we can drop them in the middle of nowhere with $100 and no credit and no contacts and no anything pretty much, and they're going to build a very large business in 90 days. That's the premise for the show. And I can tell you, I do believe that came from Robert Allen. Robert Allen back in the 80s did a thing where he would say, give me $20, drop me off in a city where I've never been before with no contacts, no phone or anything, and I'll go to the unemployment line and I will take someone who's unemployed and I will help them to buy a piece of real estate with no money down. I believe that's where this Undercover Billionaire idea came from. That's my take on it. But there are a number of problems here. So the first problem, and I mentioned this in the last episode, people, people do not follow around poor people with cameras. People follow around rich people with cameras who are pretending to be poor people. And it's a big setup. It's not just one or two people. You've got sound people, you've got lighting people, you've got engineers, you've got camera people, and it's a team of 15 people who are doing this. And every single person on that show is being mic'd up. And so they have to probably have an idea that the person who's on this show, in this case, Grant Cardone, is probably someone important. Now, let's say that they really believe the premise and they really believe this person didn't have any money and didn't know anyone. He was new in town and he's trying to build something. Would they really go out of their way to work with him if there was not a camera crew following him around? And in my opinion, that really is the reason this isn't built in reality at all. This is the bottom line. And this, I'll probably do a video at some point on this. More money is more influence, and more influence is more money. These people are essentially clinging to this show only based on the fact all of the TV cameras are there. Because essentially, this person is being dropped in the middle of nowhere and he's building a team of people that he can't pay. They're going to work for free and do a lot of work for free and then get paid somewhere down the road. But I can tell you what they're doing it for is to be on TV. See that the fame will bring everyone out of the woodwork. And I can tell you, in my opinion, the show doesn't work if there are no video cameras and there's no team. If he just goes in on his own, I think he's going to fall flat on his face, except for the fact, in my opinion, Grant Cardone is too recognizable to put in that position. And I think that these people knew exactly who Grant Cardone was. So he's pretending to be someone else. I'm not buying that anyone is seeing. I don't buy that anyone's believing that. I think people are pretty much figured that out. Grant is, like I said, he's too mainstream. He's got too much content out there. He's all over YouTube and he's got too many seminars. He's just too big. He's too A level, in my opinion. Now, that's the first parts of it. So problem one, big camera crew. With no camera crew, people aren't going to be as interested in working with them. With the camera crew, people are going to be more interested in working with them. As a matter of fact, there were probably people buying to get on, be a part of it who weren't a part of it. And number two, I really believe Grant was recognized. I don't believe for a second they didn't know who he was. What's interesting is Grant sells courses to car dealerships, and he's working with a couple of people who sell vehicles and motorhomes and things like that. I just don't think there's any way they wouldn't know who he is. That's just my take on it. Now, the third thing is the valuation part. And I don't remember the valuations, $1 million or $5 million or 10 million, but they're essentially going to go to a town. They're going to make connections. They're going to build a business. And then at the end of 90 days, someone's going to come in and evaluate that business. And they're going to get at least, I think, $1 million valuation. The problem with that is it don't work that way. So the problem with this $1 million valuation and all of that is that no one is going to give you a valuation on a business after 30 days of income. They're not going to give you a valuation on 30 days of income. They're not going to really give you a valuation on IP at this point if you just created IP. Although IP might increase the value more than anything else they're showing here, the bottom line is that you just can't do that. As a matter of fact, in most cases, you can't get a valuation, a real valuation on a business, even after a year. You need 3 to 5 years of financials, and then they can take a look at the track record of the business, at the growth each year, year to year, and then they can kind of put a valuation on it. But taking a snapshot of a business that's been open 2 weeks or 4 weeks and giving it a valuation, I'm just not buying it. Now, Grant didn't even want the $100. He wanted to do it with no money, but they insisted that he take the $100, and he did spend some of it, but he didn't spend all of it. The show before that one with the Stearns guy was very, very interesting. I think it was very, very contrived, where he finds the tires and sells the tires for a lot of money. That was interesting, and I felt like that was a setup. But I think what was more of the setup with the Stearns guy was the person who he was buying the cars from and then selling them. So if he was just buying them off private individuals and getting them way, way below market value, that, I mean, you could do it, but you wouldn't get the deals that he was getting. But he was buying these vehicles off of someone who was in the car business, who would know the value of these vehicles, and he was getting them like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars below book value, and it just wouldn't happen. There's no situation where a business owner, and I guess the story is dad had a car lot, dad left the business, the son is taking over the business and liquidating the inventory. So he's selling these cars to Stearns at a very, very deep, deep, deep discount. And I can tell you, I think one vehicle he made like $10,000 on it. And that the thing is, if he made 10,000, why doesn't he just keep doing things like that? Because he had a really good ROI on some of those. But the bottom line is, I think that the fix was in there. I don't think there's anything about that looked legit. Now, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know who that guy was. As a matter of fact, two of the other two people who were on the same episode with Grant Cardone, I didn't know them either. So those people might have been able to get away with it as far as the anonymity. No one knows who they are. But I think the problem, like I said, for me, the problem is when you when you when you put a bunch of camera people following someone around, you entice everyone to want to work with that person. And I think without that, the show doesn't work. And so, do I believe the American dream's still alive? I certainly do. Do I believe someone, a no name, can be dropped out of a town and do that in 90 days? Uh, I doubt it. Not to the extent. I think that it might happen, but you'd have 95 failures out of 100, and the person who did it could do it anywhere, anytime, anyway. but like I said, I think that the reason you see these is because you see that all of those people working for free is because of the cameras. Now, another thing you need to keep in mind, and I think you see this throughout all of the shows, it seems that everyone that Stearns comes into contact with ends up being a part of the deal later on when he's building this thing. And the same way with Grant Cardone, so they don't interact with people who just help them out a little bit and then leave. Those people end up coming back and playing a big role. But I just wanted to give you my take on it. But we will see you on the next episode. And thanks a lot.